Welcome back to First Issues. We continue our series on mental health with therapist Kutlana Mutudi of Botswana Network for Mental Health. Previously, Kutlana highlighted a need for employers to practice positive reinforcement when staff has done well. She said this will improve employees' self-esteem, therefore encouraging them to do more so that they can achieve more at work. This evening, we have a look at depression as one of the most common mental health challenges in the entire world, with over 300 million people suffering from it. Kutlana joins us now, explaining why depression is the most prevalent of all mental health conditions.
There's a number of factors that influence the development of depression. For example, it could be genetic. Right, there are certain biological makeups that make one vulnerable to depression, right? And then there could also be the way that you've been brought up, the environment that you grew up in, or the environment that you are currently living in that contribute to the development of depression. The influencing factors of depression can include genetics as well as the environment that one has been living in. Right? But one thing about depression is that it is linked with a number of other mental health challenges. For example, if you're somebody who has social anxiety, right, and you are challenged with a task of presenting in front of a number of people, right, because you have been anxious about presenting in front of people, you have the social anxiety, chances are that you could beat yourself up, and then through that low self-esteem, through beating yourself up, feeling worthless, which is one of the symptoms of depression, it can grow and encompass a majority of the other symptoms of depression, and therefore you could develop depression from an already existing mental health challenge.
Depression can be quite a difficult thing to understand, especially for someone who's looking from the outside in. That is, for example, maybe our work colleagues, but then there's still a need for support. So how do you think workspaces can better support people who are going through depression?
I always preach that people should be kind at all times, right? And one thing that we need to work on is the way that we interact with other people, right? And as much as there are certain symptoms that you can observe from somebody who could be suffering from depression, it's not written on their forehead, right? So you can never really know what this person is depressed, Kutlana is depressed, unless maybe there's certain psychological interventions that have been gone through certain assessments and the person has been diagnosed with depression. But because we can never really be certain, what you can try to do is to be kind to somebody. If you can see that their work productivity has gone down, call them aside and talk to them. Kutlana, I've noticed that your productivity has gone down, right? So can you talk about it? What's going on? Right? And then right there, you'd provide that person the platform of actually opening up to you and talking about their mental health challenges. And then if indeed the person expresses that they're facing mental health challenges, you can then, as the employer, take a further step into connecting them with mental health service providers so that they can start counseling, for example, right? It also helps to basically improve the way you communicate with your employers, right? And encourage an environment that is not toxic, where people can be free to express themselves, as well as be free to talk about certain challenges that they're facing at work as well as at home, for example.
Being depressed can be quite a debilitating experience to go through. Not only for the person who's suffering from depression, but their loved ones as well. So what do you think is the best course of action to be able to get out of this anguish for both involved?
For the person who's experiencing it, I would encourage the person to seek mental health support services, right? Be it therapy, be it support groups, be it talking to a loved one or a friend, somebody had a loved one, right? Yeah. So to basically talk about it and to really understand what triggers that depression. Where is it coming from? Is it workplace depression? Is it situational depression? Is it persistent depression? Is it seasonal depression? You know, to understand the symptoms of depression and what triggers it. Where does it come from, right? It also helps to really improve on your coping mechanisms. When you can see that you're going through something and your emotions are low, what do you do about it? right? Avoid things like consuming alcohol, for example, because this is something that can actually trigger depression, right? So it helps to also look at your coping mechanisms. When you're going through something, what do you do? And then if you're a loved one of somebody who's suffering through depression, it also helps to communicate with them, right? Encourage them to seek therapy. Be there for them as well. Listen to them if they want to talk about something. If they don't want to talk about it, also respect that. We shouldn't force people to talk about things that hurt them or things that they're not comfortable talking about. So it helps to also be supportive, you know. If you can see that your loved one is going through something, small things like giving them the meal in the bedroom is things that can help. I know that in our culture, it's very rare for parents to give children space, right? It's something that a lot of parents want. A lot of parents want their kids to be catering to their every need. But when you can see that there's something wrong, you know, it's always important to give the individual time to recollect themselves and also urge them to seek help.
In Africa, help is what we do. That is why we at FNB are relentlessly driven to provide real help to you, the passionate and courageous, the creators and the optimists. These are the entrepreneurs we support, the communities we uplift. It is because of you that real help is what we do. FNB, how can we help you?
This program was brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?